climate change, environmental regulation, and mining in America. They have been finding more with lead researcher Dr. Puspa Adikari and filed this report.
So this is Lake Como in Fort Myers, Florida. Now liken this to the seashore in Jamestown or any part of Accra along the beach. You could see plastics, physical plastic bottles and other things washing ashore. They don't have that problem because there is clear legislation and training to stop that. But even with this clear water, as you see here, there is a hidden danger. And that's what we're going to talk about today. There is an estimated 75 to 199 million tons of plastic waste currently in our oceans, with a further 33 billion pounds of plastic entering the marine environment every single year. In Ghana, the amount of plastic washed ashore each day is overwhelming. But there is an even more pressing danger. Over time, these solid plastic pollutants disintegrate, according to experts, leaving millions of tiny microscopic fragments in the water. Here in Florida, USA, most cities deal better with solid plastic waste, but the challenge is with what cannot be seen.
Any plastic particle less than 5 millimeter in size, we call them as a microplastic. So they are manufactured.
Dr. Puspa Adikari is an associate professor with the water school at the Florida Gulf Coast University. He has been working on water quality, organic contaminants, and microplastics.
I have been working on microplastic project for a long time. So whenever I go out and grab samples for any project or microplastic related project, I grab one bottle of sample to see if there is microplastic pieces or not. To be honest, every samples that I've collected so far has at least a piece of microplastic or more. So if you are close to the wastewater treatment plants, because wastewater treatment plants are not regulated for microplastic for most of the states or most of the cities, so those areas will discharge more microplastic. If you are in the area where people use lots of cosmetics, lots of laundries, so more populated areas, the plastic pieces will be higher. So it depends where you are.
Today, his students are fetching water from Lake Como to be tested. Though the water looks clean to the eye, a cursory look at the samples under a powerful microscope reveals a shocking outcome.
Here we found a really clear blue fiber. This is from articles of clothing or that sort of thing. We mainly look for things less than 5 millimeters in size. This scale is currently at 500 micrometers, so this is like half of a millimeter in size. Here I have some measured. There's some plastic beads that we found and some black and red fibers that are definitely not natural, like algae or anything like that. This is all inorganic material, so we were able to find a few microplastics. They're very, very small, like I said, less than 5 millimeters in length, not visible to the naked eye.
Dr. Adikari traces microplastic pollution to two factors.
They are produced by two processes. One is a primary microplastic, which were produced or manufactured as a microplastic, which is basically any plastic particle less than 5 millimeter in size. We call them as a microplastic. So they are manufactured as a primary microplastic when they are produced to use for different things like cosmetic products or beads and things like that. Second process is secondary microplastic, where if we have a big piece of plastic or plastic bottle, we call macroplastic.
The title of the anti-LGBTQ+ bill is expected to change as the sponsors push for the deletion of the words proper and Ghanaian from the title of the bill, which is currently undergoing fresh amendments. Sponsors of the bill say the name change is in line with the advice from the Attorney General. Sam George is one of them. He spoke on Newsfile.
Sponsors had critical things we needed to deal with. For example, we had deleted proper and Ghanaian from the title of the bill.
That's right.
And so the bill is now Human Sexual Rights and Family Values Bill. However, when you go through what the draft persons had submitted, clause 3, prohibition against subverting Ghanaian family values. So Ghanaian still repeats itself. So you see there are places, human sexual rights and Ghanaian family values in clause 2.
And
so,
this is in respect of the advice by the Attorney General,
absolutely,
right?
That every bill that becomes law passed by the Parliament of Ghana is Ghanaian. So there is no, it's superfluous to have Ghanaian in the title, which we agreed to. So there are all of these little cleanups we wanted.
Some judge reviews the amended bill will pronounce a much lesser punishment for the advocates of LGBTQ. He explains why.
The punishments for persons who broadcast, or in fact it is the prohibition of propaganda of, promotion of, and advocacy for activities.
Which section is this?
This is 10.
Section 10, okay, go
Yes.
ahead. Go ahead.
And this is of the cleaned up. I don't know if you are looking at the old one.
All right.
But I think in the old one it will be 12.
All right.
But in this one it's 10. Prohibition of propaganda of, promotion of, and advocacy for activities prohibited under this act. If you look at 10(1)(b.
Yes, it's in 12 in
it's
the
in
old
12 in the old one. It says imprisonment of not less than 5 years and not more than 10 years. But I had moved a motion on the floor, which was approved by the House, an amendment, which was approved by the House, to drop this from 5 years minimum to 10 years maximum to 3 years minimum, 5 years maximum. But that has not reflected in this final. So those are some of the things we were arresting the third reading from going ahead to just clean up this. The Honorable Bernard Ahiafo, ranking member, had something on unincorporated bodies and the directors, the liability for them. That if it is established that a director had no knowledge of the activity of the platform, you didn't have to necessarily place that person in a position to bear liability. And this is in conformity with the Companies Act. So we just had a few of these cleanups. Then Afenyo, the Honorable Afenyo Markin, my very good friend and big brother, Deputy Majority Leader, came in with his amendments as well.
Still in Parliament, Member of Parliament for Obuasi West, Kweku Kwarteng, has justified his decision to reject an appointment during President Akufo-Addo's ministerial reshuffle. He's one of the 2 individuals said to have turned down the offer to be made ministers. In his explanation, Mr. Kwarteng, who currently serves as chairman of Parliament's Finance Committee, says leaving Parliament to be a minister would be suboptimal and would have made it difficult for him to deliver on his mandate in Parliament. He spoke on Newsfile.
The historical, in my view, historical weaknesses in the way we have managed our economy, not necessarily this Nana administration. This government has done what it can. I'm very clear in my mind about that, and therefore I should be proud to support such a government, especially in these difficult times. And therefore, the suggestion that somehow I considered that this was a team that I do not want to be. I do not want to play in is completely wrong, and I suggest to people to disregard that. The reason I declined is this. First, they come in twofold. The first is that, Parliament plays a critical role in the work of government. It was not for nothing that in 2021, when the NPP side in Parliament became depleted of all the people who had competence in finance and economy, the president, the majority leader, and the then finance minister all spoke with me and suggested that I leave the executive to go and support the work of government in Parliament. And over the period, I have done a lot. I'm proud of some of the things that we have been able to achieve because I'm in Parliament. And therefore, I have no regrets for being moved from the ministry to Parliament. And I considered that it is work that I must complete in Parliament, at least to the end of this Parliament's life. And therefore, being moved to the executive at this time will be suboptimal. And that is why it was the first reason I declined.
Meanwhile, he says the NPP will face an uphill task in the 2024 general elections due to a deficit in political confidence in the current government, and the party must work to fix it.
In my view, there's a deficit of confidence within the population towards Ghanaians. I hear too many Ghanaians expressing concerns that the political class is no longer working for them and that we are out for ourselves. I'm one of those who believe that these are matters that the NPP going forward, especially formulating our manifesto, must respond to frontally. The deficit in political confidence in the political class, but also the new challenges imposed by a hostile economic global environment are all things that should call for new ways of doing things. These are discussions I would be happy to participate in as NPP formulate strategies going forward. I consider that I'm in a better position to do that as a non-ministerial member of parliament than to be a minister and to try and do this.
The Member of Parliament for Damango, Samuel Jinapor, has cast doubt over the National Democratic Congress's ability to implement its so-called 24-hour economy. He questioned how a party which could not sustain businesses during its tenure talk of a 24-hour economy. The Lands and Natural Resources Minister was speaking at his acclamation ceremony in Damango in the Savannah region.
The acclamation brought together delegates across the constituency to officially outdoor the candidate. Mr. Samuel Jinapor came in the company of his wife, the party's general secretary, the Minister of Chieftaincy, the Minister Designate for Roads and Highways, Minister Designate for Information, Deputy Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, among others. Speaking at the acclamation, the Member of Parliament for Damango, Samuel Jinapor, assured the party's General Secretary he would deliver the Damango seat and also contribute in the winning of the presidential slot. He also ran down the proposed 24-hour policy of the NDC.
By the grace of God, we will win Damango. And we will win significant number of seats in Savannah region. And you will see that it will come to pass. Our friends, the National Democratic Congress, they've been around for so long, and yet they've never been able to make any substantive policy proposition to the Ghanaian people. All of a sudden, from nowhere, out of the blue, they say 24-hour economy. And when you ask them what that 24-hour economy means, they either say that Toronto or they say something else. They are not able to explain it. And sometimes they say it will mean that Ghanaians will have an economy not by day alone, by day and night, 24 hours. But the last time they were in government, from 2013 to 2017, for the 4 years that they were in government, they subjected this country to do so. They subjected this country to erratic power supplies. And therefore, when they were in government, even in the day, not in the night, in the day, tailors could not work. In the day, there was no economy for welders. In the day, there was no economy for carpenters. In the day, there was no economy for feeders. In the day, there was no economy for thousands and hundreds and millions of Ghanaians. In the day, not in the night. When they were in government, in the day, they couldn't supply power.
Away from politics, residents at Tutupene in the Nkwanta South Municipality in the Oti region yesterday prevented the police from taking a prime suspect of murder of a teacher in the Nkwanta land conflict into lawful custody. The community blocked the road with logs to physically prevent the police from taking the suspect to the regional capital, Dambai. After hours of open confrontation and resistance, the police yielded and released the suspect to avoid casualties on both sides. Peter Senu has more in the following report.
This was the scene at Tutupini on Friday at about 5 p.m. after a prime suspect was arrested at Nkwanta earlier in the day. JoyNews sources say some supporters of the suspect, name withheld, besieged the Nkwanta police station and attempted to free him. He is the prime suspect in the murder of a teacher during the Nkwanta conflict months ago. The police were able to secure the suspect, and while moving him to the regional capital, Dambai, the tribesmen of the suspect blocked the road to prevent the police from taking him into lawful custody. The decision to block the road was said to be ordered by the secretary to the Tutupeni chief, one Augustine Melebo. He says he received a call from his tribesmen in Nkwanta to prevent the police from taking the suspect into custody. He has been speaking to Joy News.
I think everybody knows what is happening at Nkwanta. Yesterday it was around 2:33 that when I understood that one of our wards has been arrested, and I don't know what is happening. So I said no. Then we have to find out what is happening, because we are all aware that fully there is peace and peace is working. Then what is the problem now resulting to arrest? Because everybody knows everything is quite quiet and what is happening. So I have to tell my people to block the way so that when these people happen to come, we try to ask them what is happening, because one has been taken away already. When we know peace is prevailing, so we don't know what is happening again. So that is why I said they must block the road so that when the police come, we ask them what is happening. Because right now we don't know whether we, the adults and the government, want to resurrect the conflict or what is happening.
Okay, so right now as we speak, we can say for sure that it was an Adele man that was picked yesterday.
Oh, yes.
He says the suspect is in his custody and it was agreed for him to produce him at Dambai on Monday.
The suspect is with me.
Why would you do that, Nana?
Yesterday I have to plead that we will have to take, they should allow me to bring the suspect to Dambai on Monday so that whatever is happening, we can all sit down and then deliberate on the issue.
So that was the agreement on which the police released the person to you?
Please, yes.
I saw your men also chanting they were not going to give the police away because that is their community. They were not going to allow them to pass and all that. But don't you think that preventing the police from taking a suspect into a lawful custody is also an affront to the law, and would also make people who are committing crimes, become stronger in the face of the law?
On that issue, for the youth, when anything happens like that, you see that they try to do whatever is not expected of them to do, but in the...
You're still watching JoyNews Prime with me, Emma Davis. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back with more. Welcome. University graduates across Ghana have been encouraged to take advantage of the African Continental Free Trade Area to develop themselves as entrepreneurs. The call is coming from Director for the GIMPA Training and Consulting School, Professor Charles Amwate. He was speaking at the 9th graduation ceremony for students with diplomas and advanced diplomas in transport and logistics at GIMPA.
Over 1,000 students graduated with diplomas and advanced diplomas in transport and logistics. Director of GIMPA Training and Consulting, Professor Charles Amwate, encouraged graduates to enhance their entrepreneurial skills, leverage the African Continental Free Trade Area for business growth, and emphasized the importance of pursuing short courses for knowledge expansion.
One of the unique characteristics about our program is the entrepreneurship bit. We are training them not to just go and look for jobs in the private and public sector, but also to be able to start their own businesses in the field. We have also equipped them, like I said, with new technologies that will make them stand out in the profession. You know, Africa is now a very small, community. Fortunately, Ghana is hosting the African Free Trade Center. It provides a unique opportunity for young men and women, like those who have graduated today, to take advantage of this initiative to even get jobs outside of Ghana, where they can go there with their unique skills and get opportunities within the sub-regions. We are hopeful that they will be manning the transportation and logistics sectors of our country. They have learned new technologies like artificial intelligence, machine learning, digitization, which they are going to be introducing in their various areas of work. Some also have learned entrepreneurship skills. We hope that they will be starting new businesses in the area of
Immediate past chairman of the Greater Accra Division of the Ghana Medical Association, Professor Ernest York, has called on stakeholders to work hard to ensure health workers are kept. He says it's the only way to reverse the rising number of health workers who are leaving the country due to dissatisfied working conditions. He was speaking at a send-off event in Accra, where Dr. Andrew Spakpo-Mensah was introduced as the new chairman. There is more in this report.
Professor Ernest York, whose term of office as chairman of the Greater Accra Division of the Ghana Medical Association ended this year, expressed worry about the rising number of health workers who are leaving the country in droves due to dissatisfying conditions of service. He says if the phenomenon is not checked, it will be a big blow to the country's health sector.
We gathered here this evening as a crystallization and a gathering of all that matter in health in this region, Greater Accra region. And we as a division, the GMA is organized into divisions, that's the various regional groupings. So what we do and what we've been doing in the past is to come together every year to fraternize and to dialogue and to share ideas and to recognize people who have been outstanding in what they do. But let me also say that it's a clarion call we are saying. A lot of health professionals are leaving this country, and we know the causes. We cannot pretend we don't know. The bottom line is conditions of service, what they used to work with, which they are not having. And we have done our part. We are engaging government, but we are pleading that they should listen to the demands and let's all judge and come to some consensus as to how we will deal with it. But majority of the solution lies with the employer.
He is therefore urging stakeholders to do everything possible to keep key health workers to enable them to deliver quality health services.
We know the conditions are bad, IMF is in town, but we plead that to keep these highly trained persons who are critically needed in the economy and the health of this nation, we must do something extra, something different from what we are doing to continue to keep them. So that as a nation, as a people, we continue to stay healthy and to continue to deliver at our almost best for the betterment of this country.
Family of an 18-year-old male student of Kimbu Senior High Technical School in Accra is demanding answers to what the family describes as the bizarre circumstances under which he lost his life. In August last year, 6 students of Kimbu Technical School were reported to have left school during lessons for the beach behind the Black Star Square in Accra. Kingsley Mafu, 18-year-old, reportedly drowned while swimming. 6 months on, the family claims the case has gone cold and is accusing the police of failing to invite any of the suspects linked with Kingsley's death for interrogation. Well, we hope the family gets closure. That's all for JoyNews Prime with me, Emma Davis. For more news, do log on to myjoyonline.com. Have a good evening.